Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Large coarse fern, often several feet high, essentially weed ferns, cosmopolitan. An area thickly overgrown, usually with one kind of plant. Any of various ferns of the genus Pteris having pinnately compound leaves and including several popular houseplants. Anything that slows or hinders a process. She was not ready to put the brakes on her life with a marriage. A restraint used to slow or stop a vehicle. Cause to stop by applying the brakes. Brake the car before you go into a curve. Stop traveling by applying a brake. We had to brake suddenly when a chicken crossed the road. Fern of southeastern Asia, not hardy in cold temperate regions. Large coarse fern, often several feet high, essentially weed ferns, cosmopolitan. Large coarse fern, often several feet high, essentially weed ferns, cosmopolitan. Large coarse fern, often several feet high, essentially weed ferns, cosmopolitan. Any of numerous flowerless and seedless vascular plants having true roots from a rhizome and fronds that uncurl upward, reproduce by spores. The act of brushing your teeth. The dentist recommended 2 brushes a day. A dense growth of bushes. The act of brushing your hair. He gave his hair a quick brush. Momentary contact. Sweep across or over. Her long skirt brushed the floor. A minor short-term fight. A bushy tail or part of a bushy tail, especially of the fox. An implement that has hairs or bristles firmly set into a handle. Clean with a brush. She brushed the suit before hanging it back into the closet. Conducts current between rotating and stationary parts of a generator or motor. Contact with something dangerous or undesirable. I had a brush with danger on my way to work. Cover by brushing. Brush the bread with melted butter. Remove with or as if with a brush. Brush away the crumbs. Rub with a brush, or as if with a brush. Johnson brushed the hairs from his jacket. Touch lightly and briefly. He brushed the wall lightly. A dense growth of bushes. 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 The wood from bushes or small branches. They built a fire of brushwood. The state of being physically constrained. A device that retards something's motion. The act of constraining. The threat or use of force to control the thoughts or behavior of others. The state of being physically constrained. Dogs should be kept under restraint. Lack of ornamentation. The room was simply decorated with great restraint. Discipline in personal and social activities. He was a model of polite restraint. A device that retards something's motion. The car did not have proper restraints fitted. A rule or condition that limits freedom. Legal restraints. The act of controlling by restraining someone or something. The unlawful restraint of trade. Put an end to a state or an activity. An obstruction in a pipe or tube. The act of stopping something. The third baseman made some remarkable stops. Prevent completion. Stop the project. The state of inactivity following an interruption. He spent the entire stop in his seat. Stop from happening or developing. Render unsuitable for passage. Stop the busy road. A restraint that checks the motion of something. He used a book as a stop to hold the door open. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. Your rights stop where you infringe upon the rights of other. Stop and wait, as if awaiting further instructions or developments. Interrupt a trip. We stopped at Aunt Mary's house. Seize on its way. A mechanical device in a camera that controls size of aperture of the lens. A consonant produced by stopping the flow of air at some point and suddenly releasing it. His stop consonants are too aspirated. Come to a halt, stop moving. The car stopped. The event of something ending. It came to a stop at the bottom of the hill. A brief stay in the course of a journey. They made a stopover to visit their friends. A punctuation mark, placed at the end of a declarative sentence to indicate a full stop or after abbreviations. In England they call a period a stop. Hold back, as of a danger or an enemy. Check the expansion or influence of. A spot where something halts or pauses. His next stop is Atlanta. Cause to stop. Stop a car. Music. A knob on an organ that is pulled to change the sound quality from the organ pipes. The organist pulled out all the stops. An interruption or temporary suspension of progress or movement. A halt in the arms race. The state of inactivity following an interruption. During the halt he got some lunch. Cause to stop. Halt the presses. Stop from happening or developing. Stop the flow of a liquid. Come to a halt, stop moving. The event of something ending. Disabled in the feet or legs. A braking device consisting of a combination of interacting parts that work to slow a motor vehicle. A braking device consisting of a combination of interacting parts that work to slow a motor vehicle. A brake on a bicycle that engages with reverse pressure on the pedals. A brake operated by hand, usually operates by mechanical linkage. A sudden unforeseen crisis, usually involving danger, that requires immediate action. He never knew what to do in an emergency. A state in which martial law applies. The governor declared a state of emergency. A brake operated by hand, usually operates by mechanical linkage. A brake operated by hand, usually operates by mechanical linkage. A brake operated by hand, usually operates by mechanical linkage. A brake on an automobile that magnifies a small force applied to the brake pedal into a proportionately larger force applied to slow or stop the vehicle. Move obliquely or sideways, usually in an uncontrolled manner. The wheels skidded against the sidewalk. An unexpected slide. A restraint provided when the brake linings are moved hydraulically against the brake drum to retard the wheel's rotation. Apply a brake or skid to. Elevate onto skids. One of a pair of planks used to make a track for rolling or sliding objects. Slide without control. The car skidded in the curve on the wet road. A vehicle that moves on wheels and usually has a container for transporting things or people. The oldest known wheeled vehicles were found in Sumer and Syria and date from around 3500 BC. A genus of ferns belonging to the family Densetaceaceae. A genus of ferns belonging to the family Densetaceaceae. Large genus of terrestrial ferns of tropics and subtropics, sometimes placed in family Polypodiaceae. Large genus of terrestrial ferns of tropics and subtropics, sometimes placed in family Polypodiaceae. Hitting a golf ball off of a tee with a driver. Having the power of driving or impelling. A driving personal ambition. Acting with vigor. Responsibility turned the spoiled playboy into a driving young executive. The act of controlling and steering the movement of a vehicle or animal.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.